Discover how a multi-billion-dollar industry is revolutionizing property care for seasonal homeowners. Today we're diving into the world of HomeWatch with industry pioneer Diane Pisani. As founder of the HomeWatch Academy, Diane is transforming how we protect and maintain second homes. With 2 out of 3 wealthy Americans owning vacation properties, Diane's insights are more relevant than ever. From flushing tens of thousands of toilets to training the next generation of HomeWatch professionals, her journey is as fascinating as it is impactful. Stay tuned as we explore how Diane is turning HomeWatch from a fragmented hobby into a thriving industry. This is Talk Commerce, and we're excited to bring you this eye-opening conversation with Diane Pisani. Talk Commerce is brought to you by Content in Commerce from contentbasis.io. 87% of Shopify stores don't use their blog the way it should be used. Go to contentbasis.io to learn more.
You're listening to Talk Commerce. Subscribe and download at talk-commerce.com.
Welcome to this episode of Talk Commerce. Today I have Diane Pisani. She is the founder of HomeWatch Academy. Diane, do an introduction, do a much better job than I did. Tell us your day-to-day role and one of your passions in life.
I'll be glad to do that, and thanks for the opportunity. HomeWatch is the opportunity for the seasonal homeowner to hire a company that takes care of their home while it's unoccupied. And I read a survey recently from Ameriprise Financial stating that 2 out of every 3 wealthy Americans own second homes. So that's us. That's what we do. HomeWatch is a visual observation of a home or property looking for obvious issues or problems. So one of our slogans is that we're the difference between damage and disaster. I have a long business career. Hate to say, but I've been self-employed since 1986 when I opened up one of the nation's first cruise-only travel agencies. So we're going to talk about baby boomers today. So I've just identified where I fall into. So we're going to talk about that. But I started, the woman that I rented from told me about HomeWatch. And she said, Diane, you would make a great HomeWatch, a concierge person. And I said, I thought you only had a concierge at a hotel. And what in the world is HomeWatch? And she told me about it. I found somebody who was hiring, got my training there, worked for her for a while. And in 2006, co-founded a HomeWatch company, and just took a couple years to realize how fragmented the industry is. And in fact, it wasn't even an industry back then. So quick overview. Way back then, HomeWatch itself has been around for a very long time, but it was what we call hobby home watchers. They were neighbors doing a favor for their up north friends. They didn't have a registered business, didn't have any kind of software, anything like that, and it was a very fragmented industry with no standards. We grew our HomeWatch business very, very quickly, and when the time came to refer overflow business, I quite frankly couldn't find a company worthy of a referral from me. And I don't say that in a smarty pants way, but they would almost make jokes. It's like, oh yeah, well, I do HomeWatch, so I go a couple times after the homeowner leaves and a couple times before they come back. I said, well, what about all the middle time? Oh, you don't have to go then. I said, well, aren't they paying you for that? It's like, are you kidding me? There's no standards here. And then there's a plethora of horror stories. Anything from people who would come back and the home watcher before software would fill in a sign-in sheet in the condo or the house. And it's like, well, Diana came back to my condo and they filled it out 6 weeks in advance.
Oh, geez. Okay.
That kind of stuff. Or, I have enough to fill like a million podcasts, but one fellow called, he wanted to get a new HomeWatch company. He said, well, I use my condo to send like my employees to for a golf weekend. And when they arrived, they thought it was very nice that I left a car in the garage for them. However, when they went upstairs, they found somebody sleeping in the bed, and the HomeWatch dude let his friend crash there. And it was just wrong. So instead of finding referral sources, I decided to build my own and had the idea in 2008 to start training people to build a group of folks that at least had some kind of standards. And that was my first training class. I think I had over 15 people in that particular one, and it grew from there. So I was in the field making HomeWatch visits for well over 15 years, and we cycle the water when we make visits. So I can proudly say that I have flushed tens of thousands of toilets throughout Southwest Florida. And
That's
then I did more home watch and some training. I had a wonderful classroom in Naples, Florida for many years and took it to an online version a few years ago. And the Home Watch Academy is the first e-learning program out there for folks who want to start a home watch business.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So Diane, before we get into talking about how this would help people, and I know we're also going to talk about millennials today, I do want to do the free joke project, and you have volunteered to be or voluntold to be part of the free joke project. So all I'm going to do
Yep.
is tell you a joke, and then all you have to do is say, should that joke be free, or do you think at some point somebody should pay for it? And today I have a little bit of a tongue twister, so hopefully I can get through it. So here we go. I met a girl who runs a battery kiosk at the local park. So basically, she sells seashells by the seesaw.
Okay. Because I live in Florida, because I'm by the beach and we have shells and everything, I'm going to say they should pay for it.
All right. That's great.
And
Thank you so much.
mainly because you didn't get tongue twisted.
Yeah, I practiced a little bit. Good. Good.
Oh, you told me to say my passion, didn't you?
Yeah, what was your tell us a passion. Yes.
You know, I appreciate that you called it passion because one time I did a podcast and they asked me what my hobbies were, and that totally stumped me. It's like, hobbies? I'm an entrepreneur. What do you mean hobbies? So my passion, because I had a travel agency for many, many years, or will always be travel. But the real passion is learning. And as in my capacity as an educator in home watch, I'm a darn good teacher because I'm an exceptional student. So the learning never ends. And I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts recently, and I've learned a lot. I mean, even when I listen to one that the industry has nothing to do with what I do, I learn about a new app or a way of doing business. So well done, Brent. Well done.
That's great. Thank you. And so where you said you're in Naples, or you're in South Florida, or where are you?
Southwest Florida. I lived in Naples for 19 years, starting, I moved there in the early 2000s, lived there for 19 years. And 2 years ago, I moved 100 miles north to Venice, Florida.
Okay.
And I'm still back and forth a lot.
Right. Yeah. So I'm summering in Minnesota, and the typical Minnesotan at some point is going to winter in northern Florida, most likely. I did just speak to a friend who has a house in South Florida, and he's going to move up to Sarasota or Tampa or something like that.
It's,
These are different. I think there's more of a Midwest culture as you get north or more north in Florida. Norther. Yeah.
Norther. Well, actually, there's a real big Midwest culture. So on the Gulf side, there's more Midwesterners. On the other side, there's Fort Lauderdale, Miami. It's a little bit more East Coast, but that's changing, and the growth here is nothing short of mind-boggling. Thousands of homes, which takes us to the home watch is a great business opportunity.
Yeah. So, so I said we summer in Minnesota and we winter in Hawaii, and it's and let's just get it off the table. Hawaii is nothing like Florida, and the first thing I hear from people is I'm not going to go to Hawaii because I live in South Florida. Well, there's no mountains. So that's my first, and there's no volcano, and there's no alligators. In fact, there's no predators at all in Hawaii. No snakes, no iguanas. So
does that mean you're a surfer? Are you a surfer?
I try to surf.
A surfer wannabe. Oh yeah, the iguanas here are funny because when we get cold, and we had a pretty cold winter, the weathermen here really need to amuse themselves because if there's no hurricane, there's like very little action. But when it's wintertime, they always talk about the iguanas get frozen, they fall out of the trees.
Oh yeah, I was just in Puerto Rico and I heard the exact same thing. I mean, it's very interesting, and I did see iguanas way up in the trees. So I've heard that they'll fall into somebody's pool, and that's great.
And the alligator thing is real, and what else is real are black bears.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess we have those in northern Minnesota. Good. All right. So let's dive in. Tell us a little bit about Home Watch. And, I think the culture here in Minnesota, at least, is, especially as I was growing up, everybody had a cabin, a lake home. That wasn't even like, that was the sort of the norm as a, not even wealthy, as a middle class. And I don't think a lot of people at the time thought about what does it mean, because a lot of people would drain the water and close up the cabin and that's it. But now it's year round, right? People have year round homes, and Tell us some of the reasoning behind that, and then I guess tell us why you think why you decided there needed to be a lot of education. I think that's the important part.
Oh, you know what? I'll touch on the education thing right away. Because it's a real job. It's like, and to this day, I can tell folks that I have a training company. I train individuals to help them grow or start their home watch business. And they'll look me square in the face and say, you need to go to school for that. It's like, for what job or career don't you need to go to school for? So, and, it's always like, just because you live in a house doesn't mean you're qualified to watch somebody else's, no more than because I watch The Voice that I'm a good singer. So, that's our place of business. And I also take exception to the folks that put on their website, well, we'll watch your home as though it's our own. Anybody who is a home watch professional will tell you it's nothing like your own. Homes are like snowflakes and they're all different. So the approach that, came out for the interview here was to talk about like home watch as an opportunity for millennials. And that's kind of cool because it was primarily a baby boomer thing back when I started. And I can look at my early ads, and I used to promote, well, home watch is a great career because it's baby boomers serving baby boomers, because the avatar was, 50, 60 years old or 50s and 60s usually. And here in Florida, home watch is very, very well known, but it was just fragmented. So you had your hobbyists, your professionals, and then you have your scoundrels. And it's the scoundrels take advantage of the homeowners terribly, and that's just unacceptable. But as home watch has grown, it's gone from a hobby to a profession. And just a couple of years ago, I started calling it an industry. And that's I made it kind of official when Forbes Advisor named Property Watch one of the top 19 best businesses to start. So when I did a little bit of research about millennials here, and boomers, I looked at what's important to us. When I looked at baby boomers, it said that we are work-centric, defined by our career. That's true. Entrepreneurial, loyal, and and goal-oriented. And baby boomers are age 59 to 78. So we're a very powerful but dying breed, that's for sure. Millennials are the 28 to 43 age group. And in all frankness, Brent, that's when I realized that as a trainer in home watch, I was becoming more successful because I wasn't just training the boomers. Suddenly I was training folks in their 50s, 40s, 30s, and even 20s. It's like, okay, we got us an industry here. And millennials are defined by work-life balance, which is awesome. They care about meaningful work. They like a collaborative environment, flexibility, and independence. And that's what home watch gives people. Flexibility, independence, and being your own boss. It's a humdinger of a business opportunity.
So explain that you're helping people to start their career, right? You're not offering the career.
Absolutely, I'm fully a training company. So the business model is the Home Watch Academy is an online training company. That's where you get started. And so many folks, when they call, it's like, Diane, I found you online. I did my research. There's a lot of information that I have out there, and I want to do this the right way. I've been self-employed for so long, and as an entrepreneur forever, I practice risk management, and that's very much my style of training. And your first level of risk management, of course, is education. Your second level is a good contract, and your third level is insurance. And the whole idea is to never, ever need the insurance. And the contract, incidentally, and all the forms and everything are included as part of the business owner training package.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about some of the reasoning on how people do that, and then maybe talk a little bit about the lifestyle of being a home watch professional. Can I call it a professional?
Yeah, absolutely. Home watch professional would be great. Would be absolutely great. Well, anybody that's in a home where in an area where there are seasonal homes have an opportunity there. So the popularity at first were in places like Arizona and Florida. But let me tell you, some of my biggest growth in new students at the Home Watch Academy is in the Midwest. So it's Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I've got home watchers in Alaska. We've got them. I've got a real successful gal out in California. So we in the southern areas have done our job predisposing our northern friends to home watch, and they're very receptive when the new companies open. So I reached out to some of my millennial businesses to ask them what they liked about home watch, and I got some really cool answers. And it's like their comments were, I'm my own boss. get to be at home with my kids and husband, choose my hours, and have a great connection with my clients. It serves my socialization. And another one, she said, let's see here. Oh, she goes, being flexible, it allows me the time. You can also work your butt off. It allows you to set your own hours. In my case, with younger kids, I can go to school and sporting events. Now, you can set your schedule to a very, very large extent, but if you have an emergency, you got to take care of it. But when it comes down to talking about numbers and income potential, you can't beat it. You absolutely can't beat it.
And so explain, because we use a service called Trusted House Sitters, and where they would actually watch the dog and the home and everything. So this is different. This is not somebody necessarily living at your house while you're gone. They're checking to make sure it's not put down and windows are shut and doors are shut, right?
Exactly. So, and I appreciate so much that you brought up house sitters, because folks will be confused between home watch, house sitting, property management, and home inspection. So it's so important for us as home watch professionals to make sure that we identify what we do, and our work takes place in usually the non-rental, unoccupied home. Here in Florida, our biggest enemy is going to be mold. And if the air conditioner is not set properly, or if it malfunctions and humidity goes above 50% for an extended amount of time, you're going to get microbial growth, which will turn into mold, and it can literally destroy the home. And mold can start to grow within 2 to 3 days. So it's like I always tell a homeowner that's considering home watch, it's like, well, imagine if you left in May and went back to your northern home and came back in October and your air conditioner broke in July. You may very well come back to a home that's totally destroyed, and then you're not going to be very happy, because if it's humidity-driven mold, the insurance company will probably deny the claim.
Yeah, and I think earlier you had mentioned even just flushing the toilet. We have friends from Canada, and during COVID, they couldn't travel to the U.S.
Right.
And, after 2 years, their condo was all their hot water heater and their dishwasher, they had to replace it all because everything was sort of gummed up and not working right.
Well, to that I can only say, of course. You can't. Your homes are meant to be lived in there. It could have been worse, because folks will come back to a leak from the neighbor up above. I mean, the destruction can be unbelievable. And great that you brought up COVID too, because we literally qualified as an essential service.
Yeah. So tell us some of those other things. I think, a lot of new condos now are requiring you to have some kind of water alarm system, so it lets maybe the caretaker know that there's an issue in a unit. But you're not only responsible for yourself, but you're also, if you're on a second floor, you're responsible for everybody underneath you. So maybe tell us a little bit about how HomeWatch would help mitigate some of those issues.
Well, our job is to notice damage in the early stages before it becomes a disaster, and to have a number of best practices, like turning the water off when the home is unoccupied. When we make the visit, we go ahead and cycle the water, make sure everything's operational, and look for leaks. And, some people have their smart homes and they think that's cool, but technology can be dangerous because a lot of people don't know how to use it. So, and 9 times out of 10, they don't even know how to adjust their thermostat. And if that's done incorrectly, especially in a place of high humidity, you're gonna have damage. You're gonna have damage. So it's growing. It's a growing industry, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's go back to the millennials, because I'm interested on the sort of the interest for them and how you're approaching that market, because it is different, right? And I'm Gen X, so
You're Gen X, yeah.
Yeah, it's different for me as well, and I have a millennial daughter, and soon to be a grandchild in a couple of weeks here. It's going to be another different scenario on how you introduce them, right? Tell us a little bit about the reasoning behind millennials and how you're approaching that.
Well, it's such a growing market right now, because it kind of happened. It's like I realize I'm getting all these folks in that age group. There's something cool going on here, and it's got to do with everything with what's available in the workforce out there. And a lot of millennials, it seems they're already predisposed to having more than one gig. And if they do live in a seasonal area, there's different times of the year that you're busy doing that. So they might be a bartender or a server at the Ritz-Carlton during high season, and then they're struggling during the summer season in Florida, for example. So what I looked at, and in my presentations, I'll talk about income potential, because you're going to start a business. That's one of the things that you want to look at. And I realized in so many of my presentations that I was being really conservative with the potential, which is good. I kept my Midwest conservative self there, but it's like, how dare I not give another realistic scenario? So when I crunched the numbers, our home watch visits, when I started in 2006, it was like $40 a visit in 2006. And that was a time when, other people were doing visits for like $20, $25. And I remember a guy, I went out for a beer one time after work, because it was really a hot day, and there's other trades there. And a gentleman came up and said, "Well, I see you have a home watch company." He looked at my T-shirt, and I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How many clients do you have?" I go, "Well, it's our first year, so we've got about 30 clients." I said, "How many do you have?" And he said, 110. And I said, "Well, that sounds like a lot." I said, "Do you have a business partner?" He goes, "No, I do it myself." And it's like, that sounds like a lot for one person. And then he said, "What do you charge?" And I said, "Well, we start at $40 per visit." He looked at me, goes, "You can't get that." I said, "Well, I'm sure glad nobody told me, because I kind of get it all day." I said, "What do you charge?" And he said, $20 a visit. So I paused for an appropriate amount of time, looked him straight in the face, and said, "Guess I should buy you a beer." So you either work harder or you work smarter. And God bless, nice people go into home watch. They have customer service skills and servant's heart, but you got to be fair to your business financially. So some of the people out there are still charging $30 or $35, which to me is absolute positive insanity. So I did some check on the Consumer Price Index, and 2006, so $40 in 2006, in 2024 is $62. So a lot of my companies are at $60 to $65 per visit. So if we look at that $65 a visit, and base it on 50 clients, give you just a quick overview here. 50 clients, maybe half of them being weekly, half being biweekly, a couple times a month. And in Florida, our average person is gone about 8 months out of the year, believe it or not, on average. Some are 6 months, some are back and forth. But using that for a calculation, this comes out to like yearly billing of over $78,000. And that's only for home watch. And then our add-on services are called concierge services, and that can add 20, 30, 40% or more. So that's the conservative potential in home watch. And in my preparation, I not only talked to some of my millennial folks, but I met with one of my gals yesterday, and she's got a humdinger of a business, and she's got a couple kids in sports and school, so they're busy. She's actually, Brent, averaging $4,000 per client. So with 20 clients, she's at like 80 grand. And, and I said, okay, that's really a good number. And her concierge services, her other services she does for homeowners is anywhere from 50 to 70% of her income. So wow. for anybody starting a home watch business, but with the creativity of the kids, in that age group, the millennial age group, they can be brilliant with this. Absolutely brilliant. So there's real money in it. Real money in it.
Tell us a little bit about the concierge. What is it that they're adding on, and what kind of value does it add for the client?
When a lot of times people will leave their cars here, and if they're in a garage and everything, and they're on a trickle charger, they may be fine. I did a lot of work in high rises where folks left their cars in the garage, and you can't let them sit all year. So especially, any car, but especially a high performance vehicle needs to be driven. So you can't, and some people, they recharge, they just start the car and run it. Oh, and I'm gonna take a little segue on that so I don't forget this story, because I got another really good story. One of my brand new business owners brought on a new client who fired his home watcher. And the reason he fired the home watcher is because the guy went there, made the home watch visit, started the car and let it run, which again, doesn't charge a battery, doesn't serve it well, but left, left the car running, closed the garage door. Can you even believe that?
Yeah, jeez.
And a neighbor saw the fumes coming out, and it's like, are you kidding me? So people, they're nuts, and they don't have training. So car drives is something that we do. So my gal who's got the high billing here, and actually one of my people that do, her car drives $45 per car drive. So we give it a good 10 to 15 miles, and the frequency of the car drive is determined by the mechanic for that type of car. And then when we find something wrong with the home, say the air conditioner is malfunctioning or there's a leak and you need to call a service provider, that's going to be a billable service also. And then it's anything from accepting deliveries, overseeing projects. It can really, really add up. So one person with 20 or 30 clients may have more billable income than somebody with 50 or 60 or 70 homeowners.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There's no limit. It is amazing. It's wonderful.
So Diane, we have a few minutes left here. Tell us how people can get in touch with you. And as we close out, I give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug. So give us some of your contact information and what would you like to plug today?
I would be very happy to. So my corporate website is at yourhwp, yourhwp.com. And that's my parent company, shortened for Your Home Watch Professionals. And that website will take you to every place that you need to go. And what I would love anybody to do that's maybe heard about Home Watch for the first time, and it's like, well, this sounds kind of cool. Maybe I need to learn more. I've got a free ebook that I wrote called Starting a Home Watch Business, and you can request it there. Now, so I guess that kind of is the plug. But for my millennial people, should they find that Home Watch is intriguing, I'm going to give them a coupon code. So if you decide that you want to do it and it's the right business for you, I will be very excited. I'll be your cheerleader. I'll be everything. And one of my slogans is that the Home Watch Academy is not just training; it's a career-long resource, and I live that. But the coupon code for them to save $100 off the full price, actually it's a little bit discounted, is Millennial. So the trick is they have to know how to spell millennial.
Yeah, I'll make sure I spell it out in the show notes.
Got to spell millennial. So coupon code Millennial.
That's perfect. Diane Pisani is the founder of Home Watch Academy. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Talk Commerce is a production of Content Basis, LLC. For more creative content, go to contentbasis.io.